No, but there's a spot now, and the Chumash tells us that well, the reason God buried Moshe Rabbeinu, the understanding, I think it's a commentary on it. It's because they didn't want him to build like an ohel on it, and then people pray to Moshe Rabbeinu. But there's a spot today where they say that Moshe Rabbeinu was buried. It's just like the Rambam. There's two kevers for the Rambam. There's a kever in
Right. The one that is in front of the
Tiberia,
sea, whatever.
like near the Sea of Galilee,
Right.
and there's supposedly one in Egypt, because
It's like the Ben Ish Chai. The Ben Ish Chai has one in Iraq and another in Harsa 18. You know that story, right? The story is that one day one guy was in had a dream, went to Ars 18 in the dream, and he saw a hole there, and then the Ben Ish Chai said, like, okay, you need to buy this place for me. He bought a place, and the next day there was what we have today. So he moved himself from Iraq to Rs 18. Oh my God.
God, you and
Rabbi
I.
Asher, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
What is the importance, or how is the importance of being buried in Judaism versus cremation?
Wow.
I have somebody close that plans on being cremated, and I say, the least you could do, I said, is do not do that, because they do not follow anything or do anything.
This is an interesting question. Now, the average person will be like, it's not interesting, it's easy. Like, I mean, Jews don't cremate themselves. But, I mean, don't they? I mean, do they not cremate themselves? Well, so we have a mitzvah of kavura, to be buried, bakarka, like in the ground. But it's not technically in the ground. It could be in the side of a mountain, too, because don't forget, I mean, the tombs were what? I mean, they were in the side of the mountain when the tomb of Jesus is like stone rolled by, right? I mean, people were buried in the mountain. This is a common thing because that's also Bekarcha. Like it's in the ground, but it could be vertical or horizontal. The question is, if for some reason you died in a fiery car crash or something, and all there was ashes, could you fulfill the mitzvah by burying the ashes? Technically, I've checked for a prohibition on cremation. It doesn't appear in the Talmud. It talks, I think it compares it to like hukas hakum. Like this is what Gentiles do, but it's not an actual prohibition. Like an actual prohibition. It seems heretical. Guys, trust but verify. It may not be the Jewish thing to do.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm bringing this up because I think one of the big rabbis, it could be Manis Freeman or somebody else.
Oh, people prohibit everything nowadays. You know, I mean, I'm surprised.
They brought up the very importance of returning to the,
okay. So that's Kabbalah, by the way. Yes, according to Kabbalah, it's prohibited. And even there's some Kabbalists that bring up the luz bone. Well, so the luz bone is this bone, which is like make-believe, by the way, because it does burn. But there's a bone in the back of your head that supposedly is indestructible. Bullcrap, right? That even if everything gets destroyed, God could recreate your goof from that little bone. I don't believe it. So this is why
That's why you put your tefillin shorosh.
Right. Right. Yeah. Back. No. It's in the back. Right. I mean,
that bone, that protuberance. I don't know how you call it.
The idea that Techiyat Meitim is going to in some way affect halacha, because this is why people are buried in Har HaZeitim, because it's proximity to the Har HaBayit. The Kabbalah teaches that you're going to tunnel from your actual grave to Yerushalayim. Right? I mean, Yerushalayim at the time is what we call the old city today, by the way. But it wasn't the whole city of Jerusalem. And because of that, like people there don't even get buried in boxes, right? I mean, they bury you right into the ground, lest you mess up your nails, like having to like dig through the box. I'm not saying that we have evidence of people being burned, but it would solve a lot of problems because in Yerushalayim, there's a lack of real estate that we're running out of spots to bury people in. The Mount of Olives, forget about it. It's full. I mean, there's no other place. That's prime real estate.
You're buried in levels, right?
Right. And it's just this prime real estate.
The only problem that I have with that is that we have a punishment that is by fire. And how do we, burn a body? It looks like we're punishing the body.
Oh, yeah, but they're dead already. I mean,
Yeah,
we
they're
don't
dead.
burn them when they're alive.
I know, but the only
Well, optics, it looks weird. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you cease to do mitzvot after you die? The minute you die, is the mitzvah train over?
Well, what kind of question is that? I mean,
That is a
becoming
question. Now,
a Mormon.
so now you said there's a mitzvah for to be buried, right?
Ah, okay. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't take your question seriously. According to Kabbalah, no, you don't cease because people can do mitzvot in your behalf, according to Kabbalah. And this is the whole notion of an aliyas neshama. Every time you say Kaddish for a dead relative, it's basically you doing mitzvah on their behalf and then getting them out of Gehinnom. I don't believe in this, but you know, there's people that I learned in Aish. I was in Aish in the old city, and there's rich people who are religious but don't have a religious family who make a big endowment. They'll give a big donation to the yeshiva for the bachrim to say Kaddish in their behalf after they die. So what? So they could get, I mean, out of Gehenna. If that's not indulgences, I don't know what is. So the Kabbalistic answer is yes. The Torah answer is no.
So what are you saying? Kaddish is not according to the Torah?
Kaddish Yatum, the mourner's Kaddish, is not according to the Torah. Like, not when it's dealing with a dead body, it's not. Kaddish, like in Halakha, is Kaddish de Rabbanan. Whenever you utter words of Torah, you have to say the rabbi's Kaddish. I think it's the Or Zarua who introduced saying Kaddish in behalf of the dead. You say Kaddish at the grave, but that's the only time you're supposed to say Kaddish, and it's because you're essentially davening. It's not for the dead. The story appears in the Talmud, but it has nothing to do with Kaddish. Where there's a story that Rabbi Akiva is walking down like a cemetery, and there's a legend that the fires of Gehinnom are turned off on Shabbat, and they let people out just to hang out. I don't know, whatever. So then Rabbi Akiva saw this guy with blackface on, right? His face is all burnt, and he says, "Who the heck are you?" And he says, "I'm so and so. I've been burning in Gehinnom for the last 6 days. Every week they let us out. But for me, my punishment is so severe because my family doesn't say words of Torah in my behalf." So he's pleading with Rabbi Akiva to reach out to his relatives, or I believe his son, to say words of Torah, I guess possibly do mitzvot, like in his merit. This is in the Gemara. The same story appears in the Zohar. This is the source of saying Kaddish for dead people. It has nothing to do with Kaddish, by the way. Now, Kaddish would count also, I guess, right? I mean, it's what we call Davar Shebek Dusha. Words that, I guess, whatever, you need a minion for because there's, extra special words to say. And this is why we have the mourner's Kaddish today. The reason people go to shul nowadays is for Kaddish. Don't let them fool you, okay? Because somebody has to say Kaddish, okay? And traditionally, I think some Sephardi shuls still do this. The Avel is the one who's supposed to be davening for the Amud. You know, like the mourner is the one who's supposed to be leading the service and saying Kaddish. Not everyone, like one saying Kaddish for everyone else, by the way.
Yes.
But this is why I teach the Kabbalists have reinvented the reason to remain Jewish. The reason they go to shul is to say Kabbalah Shabbos nowadays, when no one said Kabbalah Shabbos before. Right? It was actually dangerous to stay out late. This is why we sing Shalom Aleichem, by the way. The reason we sing Shalom Aleichem is that we're praying to angels to protect us on the way home from shul, because it says
three angels.
Right, it's a sakana because the demons come out at night. You know that song, The Freaks Come Out at Night? Well, freaks are demons, and you shade them in Judaism. And they protect you on the way home. So you're pleading with them. You're beseeching with angels. Watch my back. You got my back,
And once you get home, you say, leave.
Yeah, so you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Right?
Yeah.
Story of some guy in a Jewish neighborhood that while people were like davening in shul Saturday mornings, like he'd go into their house and eat their cholent. You heard about this?
No.
I know. Whatever. Lock your houses.
Lock your houses.